My next guest is a returning guest. Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch is back on the James Show, and she handles immigration here in Texas, immigration law. And we had the ruling from the judge earlier today blocking the new Trump policy about ICE raids in churches. Details.
Ready?
Ready, go, yeah.
Okay, so essentially we had a memo, sensitive locations memo in place that said that ICE could not conduct enforcement actions in places like churches, schools, hospitals, or domestic violence shelters, for example. I haven't read the judge's order. If that just came down today, that's good news. If it said that the revocation of the safe locations was enjoined, which means essentially we go back to ICE not conducting actions in those locations. I will share that this was very, jurisdiction specific. Some locations, there were reports of ICE going into schools and questioning children and going to domestic violence shelters and, doing activities like that. And then some locations that was not occurring. So it was really sort of a wide variety of what we were seeing out there across the United States.
So when I had mentioned it earlier on the show, Kate, I got a Facebook message where someone said, look, what if the guy in church worshiping is an American citizen who just robbed a bank and killed a cop? Can the cop still go in after him if he's in a church?
Yeah, this was as it pertained to ICE, to immigration enforcement actions. So this was saying that ICE can't go in to do raids, for example, in a hospital facility or in a school facility.
Well, I think he's trying to point out the double standard. Like, why can we go after some criminals in a church setting but not people who are broken felonies of immigration status?
Well, I mean, because, an ICE enforcement is typically going after someone who has committed a civil infraction. It's not someone who has a felony, record, or they're not sort of a fugitive of justice in the same sense as someone who's committed a bank robbery, for example, or going into a safe location with a gun. So just different situations.
All right, what else is new under the Trump administration? We've now had a whole month. We were expecting some big changes to immigration. Is there anything that's going under the headlines that we missed?
Well, no. I mean, it's been kind of hard to keep up with everything that's happening, but the basics of what has occurred is that we sort of hit the fast forward button and got back to where we were at the end of the first Trump administration in terms of closing down the border to asylum seekers, shutting down the CBP One app, closing down refugee processing. There's some rumors of, going after students and slowing down visas, and then the interior enforcement actions. We're starting to see some of the overreaching memos and policies get enjoined, like, for example, the birthright citizenship memo where Trump was trying to change the 14th Amendment to the Constitution through executive order. And that has been enjoined by the federal courts. So we're now far enough along into the administration that they came out of the gate, like one of those bulls at the rodeo. And now the courts are starting to, slowly step in and issue temporary injunctions in a lot of these policies. So the dust has settled just a little bit at this moment. And I think what remains to be seen is how the administration is going to respond to court orders.
Well, Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch, as an immigration attorney, have you seen any unintended consequences negatively affecting legal immigrants?
Oh, certainly. For the most part, it's the sentiment of the people that I know. It's up to everyone who was, born first-generation immigrant, or they're a naturalized citizen, or they have a green card. There's just all people of all sort of levels of legal status have been terrified. I've been getting questions from people, on all levels. But yes, of course, there are people who have green cards who have been apprehended, Puerto Rican, citizens who have been picked up, other people who have legal status who have been picked up and deported. So a lot of that has been going on, certainly, through the last several weeks.
All right. If someone needs help, where can they find you?
Speakers is to look me up under my last name, Lincoln, like the president, Goldfinch, like the bird. In Spanish, it's better to look up Abogada Kate.
Abogada Kate, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on.
Advocate Kate is a literal translation.